informative and contains my opinion and understanding of the subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. Oh, wait, where am I? Why does it look like that? There we go. Hi, everyone. I just got out of the shower. I have no makeup on. So you guys are seeing me right out of the shower. So I just came on. I know Drunk Turkey and Angelette Levy is going to be on at 8:30. I just came on because, one, I wanted to say thank you to my fabulous new members. So you guys, I finally have memberships. So while I wait for people to come on, I'm going to give it a minute, and then I could always go back later and cut this part out. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. So let me thank people one by one. Even though nobody's here, I'll probably thank them again if I see them. But I just want everyone to know that Oh Look a Squirrel. Oh Look a Squirrel is, hi, Joe. How are you? I should probably tell my mod that I'm on. I probably should have did that, but whatever. No big deal. She'll come on, I hope. So, Joe, welcome. I'm just thanking people that joined my membership. So I just became eligible to have memberships. And I'm going to start doing like live members and stuff like that, or members only lives and stuff. So I just wanted to publicly thank Oh Look a Squirrel. You're my newest member. You're a cognitive assassin. And then you really enjoy, my Google Trends. So somebody said, are you going to keep doing this? Like, how many things can you do on that? Which I totally got. But I thought about it and I'm like, if we can continue to come up with information, we can continue to Google Trend. It doesn't really matter how many times we do it, right? So I do think that that's something to keep in mind. I am willing to do it again. So we could do that again too. I do love doing research while I'm online. So back to this real quick. So Oh Look a Squirrel, if you watch this, thank you so much for being my latest member. She's a cognitive assassin, so thank you. Then we have Kylie. Thank you so much. You're a pattern seeker. I appreciate you. PJ, Curious Mind, appreciate you. Mark, Curious Mind. Sarah, Cognitive Assassin. Dynamite, Curious Mind. And Truth Exposed, Curious Mind. Truth didn't even have to join because she's my mod, so I appreciate you, Truth, for doing that for me. She was my very first. So, but I kept it to where it was only $1.99 so that I felt like everybody can join if they really wanted to. And if somebody is having a hard time and they really wanted to join that bad, just contact me. And if I have to, I'll Venmo you. I know that sounds ridiculous. Please don't everybody do that. It's $2. But Dynamite, did you just see? I just thanked you. So hopefully you got to hear my thank you. I just personally thanked you for being on my membership. So I appreciate you. You have no idea. I'm so glad that you could be here today. I can't believe that I have memberships, you guys. I'm like, what? So, Truth, you were my first membership, and I appreciate you. I'm going to have to see, I think I have super stickers and stuff. I have all kinds of stuff now. This is exciting. So I'm excited about that. But why did I come on today? So there's two things. There's a few things. One, I wanted to thank my members personally. I had no idea that anybody would want to actually be a member of this family. So I'm so happy and I am so grateful. Winged Matchbox, welcome. Dynamite, Dynamite, look, you're green. That's so bananas to me. You're the first one to come up green because you're the first one to comment that has a membership. So that was the one thing I wanted to do. Second thing, I want to make sure that if Drunk Turkey's listening, that I promise that we'll be done by 8:30 so we could go watch Drunk Turkey and Angelette Levy. So Daniel's having Angelette Levy on tonight. Hopefully you guys know who that is. She's a pretty well-known reporter. So he's having her on tonight. That's awesome. Hi, Truth. And there you go. So Truth, you were my first one. What does that say? Logo. What is that? Oh, the mind behind true crime. Where did that come from? So it says logo. I don't know that logo, but hey, whatever. We're going to do it. Woo woo. I'm so excited, you guys. Okay. So the other thing I came on here for is because yesterday I spent like 8 hours doing a video. I don't know if people realize how long it takes to actually edit videos. I have such a respect for people, not that I didn't before, but I have a whole found respect, like newfound respect for people that edit videos. It is not easy. And then every now and then I'll have some asshole that's like, oh, you're using an AI voice. And I don't think they get that I'm still spending 8 hours doing these videos. So yesterday I get all the way done. I go to export it. And when I'm hitting export, I accidentally deleted it. I literally cried. So I was going to come on last night and I literally cried. I think I was just tired too, probably. But I was like, I couldn't believe it. So today I redid the video and I want to show it. Yes, you are officially a member of the Short Chicks Club. That's funny. So I'm going to play that live because I feel like that'll make me a little bit happier that I completely blew it and deleted the whole thing. So this is like double the time on this. I hope it was worth it. But let me present this real quick. So let's see. I'm a short stack too. Oh, you are too, Dynamite? Look at that. Who knew it? There you go. I never knew. All right, let's see. So let me put this on. I'm going to do it right in CapCut. And then I'm going to delete, oh gosh, I just said delete the video, God forbid. I'm going to upload the video after we get done the live stream. So I figured I would bring it to you guys first. Actually, before I bring that up, just so you guys understand who Travis Decker is. So this isn't a Bryan Kohberger one for once. Hopefully you guys still stay on. I do think it's important to highlight Travis Decker, and let me tell you why. If not for anything, so I know a lot of people aren't into looking at true crime when it comes to like kids being involved. I know that that could be like a trigger for a lot of people. I do think that it's important because with kids, they don't have a voice, right? So we need somebody to be a voice for them. In addition to that, I think that there's a huge story behind this. So the fact that we have a military that we send off, I've been talking about this forever, you guys. So for years, a lot of my students at the one college that I work at are vets. So, and most of them have, of course, that went down. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that I have this right. Because I don't know why I just did that. I shouldn't. Truth, what am I doing wrong? Wait, Wi-Fi. Okay, it's off. So hopefully that was just a fluke. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, so I'm plugged into my Ethernet cable. So I don't know why I did that. Hopefully it doesn't do that again and this is fine. So anyway, I wanted to get into this case. Hopefully you guys could still hear me when it goes out like that. Yes, I'm 4'11", Truth. I'm probably the shortest out of all of us. I wonder how tall people think I am. Because if I had to guess how tall you guys were, I would never say like 5 foot. I would think that you're all taller than that, which is funny because it goes to show that perception's reality, even when it's not real. So quality time with Dr. Vona. I'm so excited. Dina can be our bodyguard. How tall are you, Dina? Oh, 5'3". Look at you, tall girl. Right? Who'd have thought that you'd be called tall girl at 5'3"? But at 4'11", anybody above 5 foot is tall girl to me, or tall guy. So let me go over this real quick. I just want to show you guys. So with Travis Decker, again, I think that this is really important because I think that we need to, show that we're sending our military off, right? And we're but we're having them go over to like Afghanistan. Let me just give you guys a few examples. So I have many students that have done tours of duty in Afghanistan. I have a few that have done like 4 or 5, and they've done like 8 months at a time. So we're not even talking like, one time for a few months, which anything is more than anybody should be at war, right? So I think that it's important that we put a focus on our servicemen and women that are coming back from war. I don't know if you guys know this, but not only are they more susceptible to things like PTSD, which we're going to get into today. So hopefully you guys can even see past this. So this is even going to help people with PTSD or borderline personality, or it's going to show what happens when two things collide, like borderline personality and PTSD. I did the first video on borderline personality and narcissistic personality when them two collide. I did that because that was at the very beginning of the case. And all I knew was that he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So there is a diagnosis. I am not diagnosing him. And then his friends and his ex-wife said that he's also narcissistic. So I think I assumed that he also had a diagnosis of narcissistic. I think that it's narcissistic traits. Either way, in my video, it's a short video, and it still stands as far as what happens when those things collide. I think it's even more important to show when borderline personality, which is what he's diagnosed with, he's also diagnosed with, since then, I found post-traumatic stress disorder. So we have two diagnoses. When they go together, and we have stress. So a lot of stress, especially, you guys have to remember, with borderline personality disorder, we're talking about a fear of abandonment. So that's at the core of abandonment. Dynamite, I think you would be, see, look at that, Truth. Thank you guys for sharing. I think you guys would be surprised to see, unfortunately, how many people have chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you see PTSD, you guys, this is just a fairly newer post-traumatic stress disorder type of diagnosis, and it's chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you've been living with post-traumatic stress disorder for years, and it's something that, you know, you struggle with on the regular, it could be chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, and they are a little bit different. So in the first 30 days after a traumatic event, we go through acute stress disorder. During acute stress disorder, for the first 30 days after a traumatic event, the more you talk about something, okay, the better off you are as far as your susceptibility to developing post-traumatic stress disorder. So in the first 30 days after a traumatic event, talk. Talk to anybody that'll listen, right? So even if you're talking to people online that you don't even really know, just get your story out there. That's one of the things that can actually help you from developing post-traumatic stress disorder. What happens when when acute stress disorder goes past 30 days, then we call it post-traumatic stress disorder. So post-traumatic stress disorder is after 30 days, acute stress disorder is the first 30 days after a traumatic event. And CPTSD does not go very well with menopause. That's actually pretty funny. So I just want to catch you up a little bit before I show you my video. Let me just show you this real quick. I pulled this up just to give everybody a brief overview. And again, I do think that this is so important. So before I read this, I think the other thing that I would want to say is that when it comes to our servicemen and women, even without our servicemen and women, but I highlighted them here because Travis is a veteran. So I think it's important to note that. Does that excuse anything he did? Absolutely not. But I think that it does highlight the fact that we're not giving our veterans the support that they need when they come home. So a lot of my students, I've asked them, like, what is your process like when you come home from being overseas? Do you go through like a whole, like re-entry into society type thing? And although they do a little bit, and it's got a little bit better, it hasn't gotten better to the point of where we're decreasing post-traumatic stress disorder. Also, I feel sorry for veterans too. So I think it's also important to note that we should be teaching their families what to do, right? So it's not just good enough to teach them what to do for themselves. We have to teach our families what to do. Why? Because we put them in a fight or flight situation for months, almost a year at a time in Afghanistan, and we tell them to be on their fight or flight type, to be in fight or flight for, let's say, 8 months. So I've had people that have been out there for 8 months or longer, and then they come home and we're like, oh, go sit on the couch, I'll make you a sandwich. And we wonder why they have a hard time with that. That's a hard time, you guys. When you're in fight or flight and you're constantly thinking you're under attack or that you have to be hyper vigilant. One thing, I can't imagine coming home and seeing how not hyper vigilant we are as citizens in the United States. So let me just put this out there. I do thank everyone out there that was brave in order for me to be free. I don't think that it's right for everyone, right? Hi, Kelly. I do think that it takes a special person to serve, but they're brainwashed into seeing everything as a threat. So that is so true. So when we see the video that I just made, I do touch on that. And then we expect them to come home and go sit down and have a sandwich type thing and just kick your feet up. No big deal. Go relax. I'm going to make you some dinner or whatever. And then we don't understand why they have a hard time with that. So we might be like, oh, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And here, if you don't have some sort of reentry and if you don't have the family a part of that, that could be really hard. Okay. So, and I don't know if you guys know this, take a guess. Do you guys know how many veterans take their lives a day in our country? So not at war. So this would be veterans that take their lives daily in the United States. Does anyone take a guess how many it is? It's a lot more than one is more than it should be, but it's a lot more than you would think. Hi, Kelly. Okay, so let me just show you this real quick. I'm going to put this up on the stage. So the latest in the case is he is still at large, you guys. And why do I think that this is important? Because he not only is part of the military, but he was part of the Rangers, which is a very elite sect of the Army. So he has extra training. He was the one that parachutes into the enemy lines and is literally the first in line to defend us. So he's literally the one that comes out of the airplanes and lands on enemy lines. I just found out, not just, but I didn't realize that my husband's grandpa did the same thing. So that was pretty interesting. He got a Purple Heart. So let's look over here real quick. So these are the need to knows. So this is as of yesterday, you guys. So he's still at large. A lot of people seem to think that he completed suicide. Why do I say complete suicide and not commit suicide? Because commit has a very religious undertone to it. And I think that anybody in this field knows that you're not doing something as far as like committing a sin type thing when you're doing this. Nobody in their right mind is thinking about like, oh, I'm committing a sin. That's not what's usually going on in someone's head before they do this. So we call it completing, because if they complete it, right, then they're no longer with us. And then we take that commit out of there so that we don't have that religious undertone to it. I don't know about where you guys live, but for the longest time when I was growing up, at least till my high school years, I'll never forget somebody in high school took their lives. And one of the biggest things that my friends and I were worried about was, are they going to be able to like have a funeral and stuff like that we all have in the church, like stuff like that. And they did. So we were lucky that that happened. But even when I was in high school, it was still frowned upon and looked at as like committing a sin type thing, when now we've changed that. So that's good. So as of yesterday, you guys, they found male blood was found in the Washington campsite where 3 young sisters were discovered dead on June 2nd, authorities said. So what they think happened was he went and picked the kids up on the 29th of May. It was a Friday. He picks the kids up. He did have custody, but him and Whitney, his ex, got divorced about 2 years ago, I think it was, maybe almost 3 years ago now. In September of 2024, it was like September, October-ish, she went back to court and for their custody. And here during that time, he was homeless. So he did have an apartment for a while. And then once his lease was up, he bought a van to go, not a van, an RV. That's what I'm looking for. He bought an RV so that he could stay in campsites and stuff like that. His RV eventually gets repossessed. Okay. So once his RV gets repossessed, he's now homeless. He does have a dog. So Whitney said, and this is his ex-wife, that his kids and his dog were the 2 things that he was completely in love with and that gave him identity and meaning. I don't know if you guys know this, but when they found his truck, the dog was in the truck. I can't believe he had the windows all the way up. I don't know if you're from the South, like Truth, I'm sure this is like huge where you live. Up here, people still don't know this. I don't know why. But if you shut your doors and your windows, a lot of people put their kids in the car and they'll run into the store real quick. I hate when I see this, especially when the windows are all the way up. So the person is probably thinking like, oh, let me keep my baby safe. I'm going to roll the windows up and lock the door, not realizing that when you do that, the heat in the car raises by, I think it's like 2 degrees per minute. If you think about it, in 10 minutes, that's like 20 degrees hotter, right? So if you left the car at 75, it's now 95 20 minutes later. So that's the same thing for dogs or cats or any animal. So he did put his dog in the car. I don't know if he was thinking locking the dog in was going to like keep him safe, but he didn't crack the window. So that really didn't do anything. I think that it's important to note that he separated himself from his kids and his dog, which are the 2 things that gave him a sense of purpose. A lot of people seem to think that he's completed suicide. I don't. he may have at this point, like as of last night, they think that they saw him and they started to focus in on one specific area. But I still haven't heard anything as of right now. So I don't think they found him yet. Could he have done it now that he knows that like the cops are onto him? Maybe, but I still am not convinced that he would have done that yet. And my video will tell you a little bit why. So they found blood at the campsite. They tested the blood and they said that that the blood came up as a male and that also came up as a non-human. So there was one for a male, one for non-human. So that could have been a dog. It could have been any animal, right? From what I've been told, there was two handprints on, I think it was a tailpipe. If somebody knows it to be different, please let me know. But I'm like, how the hell did that get there? Like handprints of blood. So right now they're in the process of looking at the fingerprints, which are specific to each human being. So no two humans have the same fingerprints, not even identical twins. So identical twins share 100% of their DNA, but they do not share fingerprints. So I don't know if people know that. A second blood sample was confirmed to be non-human, like I just said. So we don't know if that's from the dog, if it's from a different animal. In the news shared by People, that's who I'm getting this from, People magazine, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office confirmed that one blood sample recovered from Rock Island Campground, so that's where they found them, was discovered. This is where the bodies, and let's just say the victims' names here: Peyton, who was 9, Evelyn, who was 8, and Olivia, who was 5. So these 3 sisters, 9, 8, and 5, were discovered. They were all discovered. He allegedly suffocated them all using like Walmart bags over their, I don't know that it was a Walmart bag, but that type of bag over each one of their heads, and zip ties for their hands, which is just terrifying. I also think it's important to note, think about the stress, right? So as a parent, that poor mother must be thinking everything from, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm sure you do, but strangulation it takes a while. It doesn't just happen in like 2 seconds. It's not like a gunshot where, it's just here and done, or it happens in a split second. It literally takes minutes, and you have 3 of them. So you can't do the 2 of them at the same time, right? Which means that one sibling had to watch the other 2 sisters pass away. That is like so traumatic to me. I can't even fathom what the mom must be going through. And to also think about that it took minutes for each one. So even if there was just one of them, how long did it take for that to occur before they actually passed out and then passed away? So there's just so many things that would be torturing me right now as a mom. Authorities believe that the girls were killed during the court-ordered visitation with their father, 39-year-old Travis Decker. The sisters were reported missing on May 30th after Decker failed to return them to their mother. I believe they actually were reported missing the night before. So he was supposed to be home at 8 o'clock. He wasn't home by 8:50, and she already was at the police station because she knew that his mental health was declining. And I think one of the things that we need to highlight here is that if somebody is going through mental health struggles, although we want mom and dad to be involved, and they still should be involved, I do think that there's something to having some sort of visit that's supervised. I don't know that we need to call it supervised visit because I would hate for somebody to think that they're being punished for mental illness, but she clearly saw a decline. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is one of his latest pictures. I'm going to show you one of the pictures, or you'll see it too in the video. I think there's a picture of him before on here, but it shows it from when he was in the service. Even if you look, they just had here it goes. So this picture here, this is a more recent one, but if you look at his old pictures, you guys, he like over here, this is a new picture. So he has a ponytail. He looks different in every picture. What does that remind me of? Bryan Kohberger, right? Ted Bundy. So when we look at some of these people, you'll see that they look very different in all of their photos. What does that say to me? That there might be some sort of identity struggle going on. All right, so let me just finish this part up real quick so I could show you that, and then we could go watch Drunk Turkey with Anjanette Levy, and I can answer any questions you guys might have. I appreciate you guys for being in here. Authorities believe that the girls were killed during I just said that. According to the same release, 2 bloody handprints, like I was saying, were found on the trunk's tailgate. Oh, the tailgate. I thought they said the tailpipe at first. I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't they get burnt? Okay, that makes more sense, but that's still horrifying. DNA and fingerprint analysis is ongoing, the department said. Look at these beautiful little girls. Even if they weren't beautiful, right? It's still tragic. But I'm just saying, like, look how happy they are. They look like they're, I don't know, stress free. They're just living life, and for their dad to do this. The dog was also found near the scene and has since been turned over to the local humane society per the sheriff's office. The investigation remains active and ongoing across rugged remote terrain. Federal officials have joined the search, so they got the feds involved, though the sheriff's office continues to lead the investigation. Search efforts has centered on areas including Ingalls Creek and Valley High. So I think that that's important. So the former Army soldier with survivalist experience is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, kidnapping, custodial interference, and unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Authorities believe that he may have been attempting to flee to Canada. However, I think he's smarter than that, you guys. He left his cell phone behind. Don't you think that he thought about that they're going to look through his phone and see what his Google searches were? I don't know. That's just my opinion. You guys put in the chat what you think about that. Do you think that he was really looking up stuff in Canada? Or do you think that that could have been a ruse for people to go north when he was going south? That's just my opinion. I don't know, though. I'm not sure exactly where this campsite is, if it's south or north of where he was, but that would just be my guess, is that that could have been more of a ruse. Could he have been looking at that? Sure, but I don't think he's in Canada. And that's just my opinion. According to U.S. Marshals affidavit shared with People, investigators discovered that he had allegedly searched online for how to relocate to Canada and visited Canadian government employment sites in the days leading up to the killings. Given his military background and survival training, officials have also speculated that he could be traveling through the remote terrain, possibly using trails near the border. Authorities say that they believe that the male blood found at the scene likely belongs to Decker himself. Okay. The origin of the non-human sample is still being confirmed. Officials continue to warn that Decker may be armed and dangerous, and that anyone with information is urged to contact the Chelan County Dispatcher 911. So that was the article that I had for us. So let me take this off real quick. Hi, Nina. How you doing? Oh, thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. You guys, Nina has me so tired. She does these lives at like 1 a.m. and I wake up and have to leave for work at 7:30, and I still go to her lives. And I wouldn't even shut up last night. I was like, okay, you guys, I'm going to join the live. I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to participate so I can like try to fall asleep. Nope, not at all. I can't help myself. I still have to talk. So Army Rangers can hike forever. I don't think average people understand. I agree with you, Truth. I don't think that even me knowing better now, right? I still don't think that I understand. Texas, you're here. Thank you. I was just talking about Nina's lives at the middle of the night. She appreciates me. Well, I appreciate you too, Nina. Thank you for returning the favor by coming here. I appreciate you. All right, you guys. So just for the sake of time, and I want to make sure that we're all off of here and have a minute to go to the bathroom or get your drinks or whatever you need to for the Drunk Turkey show, I'm going to show you the video that I made. Texas, you know from last night, I was telling you guys I spent like hours on this video and then deleted it by accident. I just redid the video. It's a little bit different than it was originally, but whatever. So we're going to watch this real quick. So here we go. Here goes nothing, you guys. Okay, I'm going to share it right from CapCut. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, I guess I have to put it on here first. Add to stage. Wait, I'm sure there's a way where I could get out of this altogether so that you guys aren't looking at my face. There we go. Just forward this so that you guys could watch this, because I really did spend a lot of time on this. So I do appreciate everyone being here. All right, here goes nothing, you guys. Hopefully y'all can hear it. Let me know if you can't.
We often talk about trauma and personality disorders like they live in separate...
Hold on. That wasn't the best start. Let me try that again. All right, come on. Let's make this good. All right, here we go. Let's try that. Oh, good. Now it's going to freeze. You guys, I have like the worst computer. Look, that's what happens to me all the time. Let me make sure it didn't. Oh, great. Sorry. I don't know if you guys could still hear me. Can you guys still see me? I can't believe this. This sucks. My computer sucks, you guys. Hold on, let me close some of these things out and maybe that'll help. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Hi, Harlot. Oh, you could still hear me? Thank God. Thank you. I don't know if I cursed. I apologize if I do. I don't think I did. But I'm feeling like a cursing type of mood because my computer sucks so bad. So whatever money I make on YouTube, you guys, is going straight on the side for a new computer because my computer is so bad that it's literally taking me 8 hours to do a 4-minute video. It's just bananas. And I am so focused on it that I will stay up all night to do it. So let's try this again. Hopefully it works this time. No, I didn't put it on the stage. Let's try that again. Oh, geez. I hope this works just for 1 minute. I just need 4 minutes for it to work. All right, let's try. Fingers crossed.
Separate worlds. But in reality, they can feed off each other, one shaping the other in ways that are...
Sorry about that. All right, let's go. We have 4 minutes of this.
We often talk about trauma and personality disorders like they live in separate worlds, but Travis Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. These weren't driving is about instability, not just mood swings, not just being sensitive. It's a deep, unrelenting fear of abandonment. A person with BPD can go from "I love you, don't leave me," to "I hate you, you've ruined my life" in the same hour. Relationships feel like life rafts. Losing one feels like drowning. PTSD, on the other hand, is about survival. It's the brain stuck in a loop, constantly scanning for danger, reliving trauma, preparing for the next hit. Emotion, stay alert, take control. But what happens? What happens when BPD and PTSD collide? First, that makes me me. The PTSD side says, "You're under attack, do something now." That's a dangerous combination, because now the brain isn't responding to reality, it's reacting to fear, memory, and pain all at once. A small disagreement can feel like war. A legal document can feel like betrayal. Losing custody of your children? That's not just sad. That's apocalyptic for someone who's already shattered and dissociate. It's like the lights go out emotionally. You're watching yourself, but you're not really there. For someone with BPD, this is where impulsivities collapse. Sometimes it turns inward, self-harm, suicide attempts, but other times, especially when narcissistic traits are layered in, it turns outward. Control becomes the only way to survive, and in Travis Decker's case, that may have meant controlling what happened to his daughters. Twisted as it sounds, then factor. The military gave Travis structure, identity, and purpose. When he lost that, it's possible his trauma resurfaced with a vengeance, without proper reintegration, in uniform. And that failure doesn't just bruise the ego, it fractures the self. In psychological terms, Travis may have experienced a complete identity collapse, and when someone with BPD feels like they no longer exist, that is when they're at their most, especially if they also have PTSD. But here's what we'll understand. BPD excuse behavior, solve fine on the outside, yet be emotionally unraveling inside. They explain how someone who once wore a uniform and held his daughters could turn into someone capable of such horror. And they explain why systems legal, medical, and mental health must stop ignoring these warning signs. Travis Decker didn't get the help he needed. His daughters didn't get the protection they deserved, and we are left asking, what if someone had connected the dots sooner? Because when identity collapses, when trauma goes untreated, when rage fills the cracks that love used to hold, tragedy doesn't knock gently. It
Subscribe and share if you enjoyed this so that all right, you guys, I'm sorry that that went out a little bit. I'm going to get rid of CapCut so that, you guys, do you know how, like, Nina was talking last night? I think it might have been a video too, though, but she was talking about how, like, building a YouTube channel can be very discouraging at times. Like, it really can. You put, like, all of your time and effort into it, and then it could do something like just make your video break up, or every time I go live, something happens with my computer. I still go live. I figure it out. But I might have to start going live from like my cell phone, which sucks in a way because I can't really share as much. I'm sure I could figure it out. Truth, I might have to have, or maybe people that are members can do a members only live where we just play around with my audio and stuff and get to know each other. And then that way I can try to work some of the kinks out while I have somebody on the other side to try to help me. Let me go through these a little bit so that some of these comments, because I think they're really important. So thank you guys for sharing all of that with me. I seen that Texas wrote that some of his friends have post-traumatic stress disorder, but they don't really talk about it. That's not uncommon. A lot of the students that I have, believe it or not, do talk about it, which I'm actually surprised at. That's not usually common, right? So I think it is important, though, to encourage people to talk about it. Could it be that they're talking about it because there's a lot of veterans at the school, so that maybe they're discussing it with each other to try? I think that at first they bring up their experience with each other, and then they wind up talking about traumatic things that they've experienced while they were there, which winds up bringing up stuff related to post-traumatic stress disorder, even if they don't discuss it. Texas, I don't know how much you know of this, or I don't know if anybody in here is a veteran. Thank you again for anybody who has been brave enough for my freedom so that I can have a YouTube channel like this, right? And say whatever it is that I please. So I do appreciate you more than you can imagine. I do think it's important, though, to encourage veterans to talk, or anybody with post-traumatic stress disorder, to talk about your trauma. Nina, you've been doing that, right? So you've been talking about addiction and stuff for your son to keep your son alive. That's exactly what you should be doing. Hi, Ann. You appreciate my tenacity. Thank you. Keep trying, because what you cover is so good and important. I appreciate you. I needed that. You have no idea, because I was starting to feel defeated, you guys. I'm like, thank God I have members, because I literally got to the point of where I was almost like, oh, I can't do this. But I would never do that, just so you guys know. I don't quit. Oh, look, a squirrel. You're green. I'm so excited. It's so weird to me. But anyway, you guys, so I do think that it's important to have this conversation. I do think that it's important to... Lucy, hi. Hi, Lucy. Sorry, I just got so excited. I'm seeing all of my friends in here. But I do think it's important that we talk about mental health. I do think that it's important that we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. I do think that there is a lot of us that have I didn't realize how many people have post-traumatic stress disorder that are part of our communities. I learned last night that a lot of people have CPAP too. Who knew? But people have post-traumatic stress disorder. And it takes somebody like me that's educated here to remind you guys that it's important to make sure that you're talking about your stories. Nina, keep talking. If you have one person when you're live listening, I mean, of course you have more than that, but I'm saying, even if there was only one person out there, you're still doing a service to that one person. That's how I try to look at YouTube now. I'm like, if I'm just helping one person, I feel like I'm doing something, although it is a little bit, it does get a little bit discouraging when you work for hours and hours and hours, and then your videos just delete. PTSD. So thank you for sharing that, Lucy. We were just talking about how a lot of people don't realize what CPTSD is. So it's just chronic post-traumatic, not just, but it's chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's how it differs. And How could that differ? So let's say this would be the difference of being exposed to a traumatic event and then being exposed to chronic traumatic events. So just being exposed over and over and over to trauma. That is how somebody's going to get chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. Vona, it's deflating. Yes, at times. I did have a live about my week in psych. Yes. Oh, you did? I didn't know that, Nina. I'm going to have to look at that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And just so you don't feel alone, years ago, I did time too in an eating disorder unit, like 4 different times before it worked. So you're talking to somebody that has also dealt with these things, you guys. So don't ever think that I'm judging or looking or analyzing anybody, because I'm not. I literally got into this field for the same reason that a lot of people do, usually to figure themselves out first. And then they start to realize what it is in the field that they're good at. And it wasn't until I already figured myself out that I got my master's and then a doctorate and taught and everything. So I've been able to use my ADHD and stuff like that to my advantage. There's other things too, but we're not here to listen to all my stuff. So let's go to you. So, yes. So, oh, wow, you guys, there are so many people in here, post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't even think I don't know why I'm surprised that people with disorders would navigate towards the channel. I would too. And not because of me, I just mean like to find a community of other people, like people. I do think that it's important that we all keep sharing and that nobody in here judges each other. I know that you guys don't judge each other because I speak to everybody pretty much on the side. And I know that there's nobody on the side that I talk to that talks about anybody else on the side, just so everybody knows. So we do have a very supportive community. I worry sometimes that a troll's just going to come through? Yeah, but Texas is here. Texas will just take them out. No big deal. I'm just kidding. But last night that happened at Nina's and we were all like, wait, what? Like, who are you? Goodbye. And everybody pretty much was on the same page. We just looked over that person and kept going. So I hope that same thing happens here. I also have Truth on there so she could just delete any troll that comes by. So Lucy, so freaking proud of you. Lucy, I am so proud of you too. What are we saying I'm proud of you for? I'm just proud of you. Oh, I do want to point out, so Nina, real quick before we hang up, Nina talked about dysthymia before, and I just want people to know what dysthymia is. Dysthymia is like a depression, but it's a milder form of depression, but don't let that sway you in any way, because it's not mild in the sense that if you're the person with dysthymia, it does not feel very mild to you. It's mild in the sense that you have the same symptoms as you would with depression or even somebody, any type of depressive disorder. Okay. So you still have the same symptoms and stuff like that. The difference is the intensity of the symptoms and how those symptoms are spread out over time. So for example, I have an old aunt, Dynamite. I'll tell you let's do like a members only live, and I will let my, 100, I'm always my 100% self anyway, but I will get more into my stuff on like a members only. That way, if somebody's here that's not really here for that, they don't have to be. But I would love that. And we do have to come up with a members only soon. I would love that. Even if we, there's only 8 of us so far, but there's 8 of us. I can't believe there's 8 of us. I like said to my husband, I'm like, I cannot believe people like want to be part of this group. I'm glad that you do, because I want to be part of this group. So I don't know. Anyway, dysthymia. This is a more mild form of depression, again, in the sense that you still have, so think of a box that you're putting all your symptoms in, right? So it's the same box of symptoms as major depressive disorder or any type of depression. The difference is that because it's over a longer period of time, the symptoms in that box come out less frequently. So they're a little bit more mild when they do come out. With major depressive disorder, picture all of these things in that box getting like squished and then it all like explodes out the top. That's more of like a volatile major depressive disorder. With dysthymia, it's the exact same thing. And this is why I'm saying don't let somebody tell you that it's like, oh, that's just a mild form of depression. It is not mild to the person that has dysthymia. If anything, it's a lot more pervasive because it lasts a lot longer. So for major depressive disorder, you would have to have the symptoms for a period of 2 months or longer, right? So with dysthymia, you might be dealing with this for years. I have an old aunt, I'm not even going to say her name because it's not cool, but I have an old aunt that everybody just thinks is like, that aunt that just worries about everything, or the one that always finds a negativity in things. You guys, that could be your aunt with dysthymia, right? A lot of people just don't know to call it something. So because this person isn't depressed like we think depression should look like, we might not even diagnose it, let alone know that somebody's suffering with it. So Nina, the fact that you've even met a therapist that knew what dysthymia was, you'd be so surprised. That is so disheartening to me that there's so many people out there that should know better and that don't. If you're a victim of violent crime, get a lawyer to deal with that compensation fund, because you have to handle their asses like a damn insurance company. So I would say this, I do think that having a lawyer is helpful there, because a lawyer will fight for you in a way that you might not be able to fight for yourself yet. So that is important. And I do think that there's something to be said about that. So I don't want to go over, because I want to make sure we all get to the Drunk Turkey Show. So please, everybody here, not that there's a ton of us, but please, let's all go over to the Drunk Turkey Show for 8:30 with Anjanette Levy. PTSD lives real in many of us. You are so right. Bullets and Bling, how are you? Good to see you, you guys. I'm so excited. I can't believe you guys are really tuning in for me. And I didn't even give any type of notice. I just came on it, last minute. So I appreciate you. I took part in helping develop our department's employee assistance program. Ooh, for those out there that are vets and first responders, West Coast Trauma Center is there to help. I am so glad that I didn't skip this, or that I didn't, not go back and look, because that's so important. Hi, Heidi. Heidi has CPTSD for 20 years, and it's a real struggle. It is. So what people have to realize is that, and all of you probably do realize that, because a lot of you have PTSD. Okay. It said doctors want to throw pills at us. Yeah, that's another thing. But I would say this truth. So when it comes to medicine for mental illness, I do think it's important to note that if there is a medicine that could help with your mental illness, not you personally, anybody, that maybe consider it if you're already going to things like counseling and stuff. So if you're going to counseling and you have, new tools that you're learning in counseling, but you're still having these bouts of depression or whatever, I'm just making that up. I do think that there's something about using medicine, especially for chronic disorders like bipolar disorder. So I think it was Harlot. I keep calling you Scarlett. I apologize, Harlot. Harlot was saying that people use like BPD for bipolar disorder and borderline personality. Just so you guys know, we use it more for borderline personality. For bipolar disorder, I usually just say bipolar disorder, or I'll just say bipolar. So with bipolar, a lot of people don't realize that these are polar opposites, right? So if you have like the North Pole, the South Pole, they're two opposites. It's the same thing with bipolar disorder. So it's two opposites. So the person is in a state of mania or extreme elation, where they feel, they have a ton of energy. They could be awake for days at a time. Their mind's going. It's not uncommon for somebody with mania to ask their doctor to give them medicine that'll keep the mania but get rid of the depression. That's actually very common. So if you're somebody with bipolar disorder and you've asked, that same thing, you're not alone. A lot of people do that. Why? Because you get so much done during mania. Mania is described very much so like a stimulant drug. That comes naturally. So the person is able to do all of these things, get all of this stuff done. They can, take care of everybody, make the dinner, do the clothes, do all the stuff. And they're still, they have energy and they're still doing things. The problem is that the higher you go up, the stronger you hit, right? So if you're up for days and days and days and days, you eventually are going to crash. And when you crash down, that is that state of depression that somebody might be in again for days at a time. I will say, since we talked about taking, your own life, or somebody taking their own life, I do hope that if anybody ever feels that bad in the moment, that you hold on. I always say just hold on, because yes, Nina, what goes up must come down. I do think that it's important to note that those feelings are flighting a lot of the time. So a lot of the times you just feel them for a day, for a few hours, and then the person wakes up the next day and they're like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't go through with that. If you guys ever want to watch a documentary on taking one's life or whatever, that's very interesting and does a lot of research, is the one on the Golden Gate Bridge. It's called The Bridge. That's the name of it. I believe you can find it on YouTube. And I will warn you, trigger warning, you do see somebody jump in the first like 30 seconds of it. There's a point there that they're trying to make in the documentary. I'll sum this up real quick because I know we all have to go over there. You dealt hard with your anxiety and depression from PTSD without medication. However, I have suffered. I will say this. So, dynamite. Sometimes people will use medicine instead of talk therapy. I don't like it for that, but I do like it in addition to. So I tell people, if you're going to take medication, see medicine as like one piece of the pizza pie, and that, the other at least 6 to 7 slices should be learning new communication skills, new skills that you could use when you're feeling that way. And then one piece of it should be medication if needed, right? But I do think it's important that there's plenty of people that get hooked on things like benzos. So that would be like Xanax and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Xanax and alcohol are the only 2 drugs that you could die from withdrawal. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. A lot of people also aren't aware of the fact that think of Xanax and alcohol as interchangeable. So one is just like the solid form and the other one's like the liquid form, but they both very much work on the brain the same way. And as a result, they're also the 2 that you could die from withdrawal. So if somebody's taking benzos, you should never just stop them cold turkey. You should always wean off of them because you could have seizures if you go through withdrawal from benzos. Now, if you've taken like a benzo here and there and you stop taking them, you should be fine. This would be more for somebody that's been on benzos now for a few years for their, depression or anxiety, and they want to get off of it. I do think that it's important that people know that that's not a drug that you should just get off of, and that is something you should wean down from with the help of a doctor. So if you have grand mal seizures, yes. So that's so important, Harlot. People don't realize that you could have seizures from stopping Xanax. I've had students that have shared with me that like their eyelashes were fluttering. Like the anxiety is so bad after stopping a benzo. That's another thing to point out. If you are taking a benzo and you stop, know that you will feel more anxiety at first. However, you will start to feel less anxiety because part of the anxiety could be coming from the benzo. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that for a lot of people, we find that. I feel like I have a piece of hair right here and it's like bothering the hell out of me. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, you guys, because Drunk Turkey's coming on in 10 minutes, and he has been so kind to me that I would never want to go. And besides, I'm looking forward to seeing him and Anjanette Levy too. So I was put on X for years in the mid 80s. So Lucy, I said that I wasn't going to share too much that wasn't on a members only live, but I will say this. I too was on a medicine for years, and it was the beginning of the medicine. What I would tell people is don't ever be the guinea pig for the medicine. At the time, I didn't have insurance and I was pregnant and I was on an antidepressant. And I now know that the antidepressant I was on was probably the one that was safest for pregnancy. However, when I was pregnant, I was put on something different. My daughter was born missing her fibula, ankle, and last 2 toes on the right side. She has fibular hemimelia. She's had 4 limb lengthening procedures. We've had to do over 30 surgeries. Her limb lengthenings are a whole year at a time. So for 5 years out of her life, I literally spent with her, not me, she spent 3 to 4 days a week for that whole year going to DuPont for hours and hours and hours of physical therapy and then doctor's appointments. So another reason that I am not further in my career, although I am far enough, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm a professor, but I would like to be doing more like I am now. I didn't before because my daughter just turned, she's about to be 22. Oh my God, I'm so old, you guys. She's about to graduate college at the end of the summer. And I just found out that she should have graduated in May, but decided not to until August because I just walked in May and it was on the exact same day. I was like, oh my God, you idiot. No, I'm sorry. I was like, oh my God, you idiot. You should have told me. We would have went to yours and I could have saved all that money on mine, that stupid gown that they make you wear when you're a doctor. It's $1,300. Get the frig out. It's got these little pasty things on the front and it's got like a hole on the side. I found out later that the hole so that you could get to like your pants pocket and stuff. But when I bought it, I'm like, you spent $1,300 on this and you're going to have a hole in the pocket? Like, what the fuck is that about? And then the pasties, I'm like, a man definitely designed this. For sure. They were like pasty for the ladies and a little side action. I don't know. But it was $1,300. And I told my daughter, I was like, I wish we would have just went to yours and not mine. But I'm kind of glad that I went to mine now that it's over with. It was just crazy though. So I hate having to use pain meds. Yes. Bullets. If you ever need to talk to somebody, just know that there are people in the community that would talk to you about that if you ever needed to. I would say this though, bullets. I do think that there are people out there, whether it be pain medicine, whether it be anxiety medicine, or Adderall, right? So that's also a controlled substance. So just know, you guys, I'm not judging, right? Yes, what a miracle child. You guys I'll have to show you Dynamite on a live or whatever with just us, or I'll show you some of the pictures of her leg and stuff throughout the year. She's an amazing child. She's never once used her leg as a reason to get out of anything. She's going to be a physical therapist. She's brilliant. She's got the best attitude. Truth has gotten to speak with her on the phone before because they both had surgery on their legs or their foot or something. I don't know, but they were all having a conversation and I was passing out. I can't take it, you guys. If you guys tell me about like when Daniel talks about his dog injury, I literally have to sit down or I have to like lower it for a second because if I'm driving, I'm like, ugh! I literally get weak at the knees. I don't know why. And we had to do pin cleanings for 20 years with my daughter. She had 20 pins going through her leg, through her bone, out the other side. And we had to crank it 3 times a day for the whole year. So there was a ton of pin cleanings and stuff, not to get an infection. She's one of the only kids at DuPont Hospital that they have on record that did not get a pin infection the entire time. I'm touching wood, but she's done with limb lengthening, so I don't know why I'm doing that. But anyway, we can get into that more another time because it's already 8:23 and I won't shut up and I want to go over to Daniel's and support him. So I'm going to hang this up. I appreciate you guys for being here. That's my PTSD creeping in. It's more like my ADHD, I think. Oh, look, a squirrel. Yes, you are so kind. I sent her pics of my ankle before I went into surgery. Oh my God, I almost died, you guys. I was like, oh my God, why'd you show me this? And then my daughter was like showing pics back and I literally had to I had to give them to the phone. Like at first it was like, oh Ma, show her this. And then it was like, oh, show G that. And I was going back. I was a middleman. And then eventually I almost passed out. I was like, how about you two just talk and let me know when you're done. I'm going to be over here passing out on the couch. I can't take it. Thanks for sharing that with us. So I guess to go back to my story real quick, you guys, is that don't ever be the guinea pig for any medication. Now that I know better, I look back and I think that back then I was young, I was undereducated, I was uneducated pretty much. I had a baby daddy at the time. I married him, but I still had a baby daddy nonetheless, so I didn't have insurance. I had to use state insurance, and because of that, I really thought that if a doctor tells you something that you're just supposed to say thank you and just listen. And that's exactly what I did. And I know in my heart that her leg is because of the medication that they switched me on. So they told me that I should switch to another medication. And now I find out years later that that other medication was brand new at the time and that I was the guinea pig. So I am lucky though, because I got off of it in my second trimester. Some women did not, and some of their kids died before birth. So that's just terrible. So don't ever be a guinea pig for a drug. There's no need to. The only time you should ever be a guinea pig for a drug is if you're on your deathbed and there's nothing else. So like there's no other treatments, then of course be the guinea pig for a new drug if you have nothing else to lose. But if you're pregnant and stuff like that, don't do that. I am so happy that my daughter does not hold it against me. She knows that I literally came from like an inner city upbringing. I didn't have a whole lot of smarter people around me. And I just didn't know better. And I just trusted the doctor. So I did that. Now for the past 21 years, I've had to pray that my daughter wouldn't grow up and hate me because of it. I'm not going to cry. Let me get it together. See, this is because I'm tired, Nina, because I stay up all night and listen to your things and then go to work the next day. So I'm blaming this on Nina, you guys. That's where my little moment just came from my voice cracking. It's all Nina's fault. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. You have drug trial stories too, but another time, Lucy, it's only $1.99, you guys. If anybody wants to join the membership, I have memberships now, and I kept it as cheap as possible. If anybody can afford that, just let me know, and I literally will Venmo you the money so you could be a part of that little group, because I do want to have times where we just talk, just us. So, and I think that'll give us a lot more space to where you guys could have more of a voice as well. So I appreciate you guys. I will see you over at the Drunk Turkey Show in about 4 minutes. And I'm excited to see what Daniel does with Anjanette Levy. So I appreciate you all for being here. I feel forever indebted to you guys, but in a good way, not in a bad way. And I appreciate you. And although I shouldn't, I will probably see you in the middle of the night again on Nina's Live. Okay? I need to get some sleep eventually, but it's okay. My ADHD is working in my advantage for right now. She's a miracle because of me. She's a miracle because of her. Let me be honest with you guys. You have to meet this kid. She's outstanding. Thank you all for being here. I hope some of you can join the membership so that we could all have the members only soon. I will make it soon. Whoever can join can join. Whoever can't, we'll do another one. I want to do them often because I want to get to know you guys on an individual level. I'm not just here just to, for whatever. I literally got on here so that I can have one-on-one relationships and help people. Thank you, everybody. Good night. I will see you over at the Drunk Turkey Show. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Truth, for doing this. How can I buy membership gifts? Hang on. I want to die. I can't believe you just said that. I'm like speechless. What? I think if I were to buy memberships for somebody else's live, I would just go to the memberships tab, which I believe if you go to my channel, I have it right here. Let me just pull it up just in case anybody wants it. If you don't want it, you guys, please don't feel like you have to stay on for the next minute. I'm just putting it in the chat because that way if anybody wants it, they can. So I'm going to copy link address, come back over to here. I'm going to put it in the chat, and that's it. I don't see an option. Click the sign next to the chat box. Yes, I think you have to click the money sign if you want to turn on gifts. So let's say somebody just got a gift. Yes, if you're on an iPhone, you have to either use it. Thank you for saying that. If you're on an iPhone or an iPad, you have to either go to a computer or you could go to like your Chrome and do it in the browser. That's how I wind up doing it. And thank you all. I appreciate you. So I put the link in there if anyone's interested. I pre-thank you now for anybody that joins up or anybody that buys anybody else a gift. Please, if you get a gift bought for you, please, I don't know how we would know who it was unless we just not wait, but if anybody, we'll figure it out, you guys. I thank you. I don't want to run over into Daniel's time, so let me just shut up. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.